So New York Times is suing Perplexity AI for illegal copying of content. This is from Reuters. So Perplexity filed a lawsuit, or New York Times filed a lawsuit against Perplexity AI on Friday. They are claiming that the artificial intelligence startup was copying, distributing, and displaying millions of its articles without permission to power its generative AI products. Now, I have not used Perplexity AI. I just started using it a little bit, but at ChatGPT and some others I've been using more frequently. And this is what I'm talking about. So Perplexity, okay, so they're pulling basically the same information from the web as the other large language models are doing. So if the New York Times has a problem with Perplexity, then theoretically it has a problem with ChatGPT and Google and everybody else. So it's interesting to me, and this is why I thought of this particular story, because I wonder why the New York Times is picking on Perplexity and not these other companies. So when you read these things and you look at this stuff, there's sometimes there's things going on behind the scenes, let's say, that we don't know. The startup has become a target of multiple legal disputes and faces similar accusations from a number of publishers as it tries to aggressively carve out a share of the hyper-competitive market for generative AI tools. And that's what makes me think that there's some monopolistic behavior going on, there's some bullying going on, and a bunch of companies are getting together and they're doing what they can to try and keep competition from happening. So the Times has claimed that the startup's generative AI products created fabricated content or hallucinations and falsely attributed them to the newspaper by displaying them alongside its registered trademarks. ChatGPT and others kind of do this stuff too. It went on to say that Perplexity's business model relied on scraping and copying content, including paywalled material. I can say that ChatGPT does not do the going behind paywalled material. That's kind of strange to me. It's really interesting that Perplexity does that. I guess we'll find out through the courts and through the process on how they've done that. I'm not even really sure how that's possible, but when it comes to this type of technology, anything is possible. Quote, while we believe in the ethical and responsible use and development of AI, we firmly object to Perplexity's unlicensed use of our content to develop and promote their products, New York Times spokesman Graham James said. The New York Times is seeking damages, injunctive relief, and other equitable remedies to prevent Perplexity, you say that 5 times real fast, from continuing its alleged unauthorized use of content. The startup's head of communication, Jesse Dwyer, dismissed the lawsuit, saying it was an unsuccessful tactic used by publishers against emerging technologies. And that might be a pretty good argument considering the fact that they're not suing the other companies and just Perplexity. Perplexity had previously said that it was not scraping data for building foundation models, but rather indexing web pages and providing factual citations. And I don't see anything wrong with that. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York comes more than a year after the New York Times sent a cease and desist notice to Perplexity. It is also the latest salvo in a bitter ongoing battle between publishers and tech companies over the use of copyrighted content without authorization. And this is what I'm talking about again when it comes to AI and when it comes to the media and when it comes to lawsuits and insurance. So at some point, A company is going to be, now in this case, Perplexity is the large language model. They're the AI lab. They're the big company. And they're the ones that Bloomberg was saying in the other story that it's difficult to get insurance for them. It's extremely expensive because really they're the ones who are going to be getting hit, at least initially right now with these lawsuits, because they're the big guys with all the money and all the backing. But think about it as a company, if you're using AI and whatever it is that you're doing, and even personally, at some point, you're going to be using AI. You won't have any choice but to use AI in what you're doing. And ultimately, it's going to put you at risk if you're not careful. And I can tell you this, at least with Perplexity, what they're saying is that they're using citations and where they're getting their information from. I can tell you that some LLMs or large language models like ChatGPT will pull information, but they won't cite it. And when you ask them to cite it and tell you where it came from, they can't. And they essentially tell you they made it up. So these are the types of things that people really don't understand or take into consideration, especially with the stories that we've been hearing about with lawyers that are using case law that was completely made up. These are the hallucinations that people are talking about. In October, social media company Reddit sued Perplexity in New York federal court, accusing it and 3 other companies of unlawfully scraping its data. The San Francisco-based startup, which is valued at about $20 billion, is also facing lawsuits from Encyclopedia Britannica, media baron Rupert Murdoch's Dow Jones, and the New York Post. So once again, it just seems like they're being ganged up on. I don't know what they're doing that's really that different than these other AI companies. So this seems very strange to me. The New York Times, which has allowed Amazon.com to use its editorial content for AI products such as Alexa, is also tussling with ChatGPT maker OpenAI. So at least they are also going after ChatGPT as well. Reuters reported last year that multiple AI companies were bypassing a web standard used by publishers to block the scraping of their data used in generative AI systems. So let me know what you have to say about this. Do you think that it's okay that these large AI companies are scraping the data and using it in their results? And the way I look at it is, how is it any different from Google? And when you do a search, that information pops up and then you click on it and read the article itself. Is that the same thing? Is it different? Is AI somehow using the information that it's providing that people are searching for in AI models? Are they benefiting from it monetarily more than Google would by having its search engine? So it's a wild, wild west right now with all of this stuff. It is super crazy, and there's a lot of things that need to be worked out. So let's see. That is going to do it for us tonight. And I once again, check out our links in the description. If you want to learn more about AI, we don't just do insurance, but we also have AI templates that are free that you can also download, and that'll help you learn how to use ChatGPT and other LLMs and kind of get a hold of this and understand and use AI. And AI is not going away. It's going to be something that's going to pretty much take over our lives. So we might as well learn it as best we can.